Hey guys, welcome to 250 Prado Oz. What we're going to do today is a quick video on the lighting instruments inside the car, and particularly this very bright display in the middle that you use to control most of the things. I'm just going to show you some ways to get this to go darker when you've got your full lights on. Mainly, I think this video is worth doing is because some people have said they can't get it to dim when they're driving at night, and I've had it on at night time when it's been quite bright, and it does actually make it a little bit hard to see outside the vehicle with how bright the screen is. So I'm just going to show you a couple of ways of doing it. The first way I'm going to show you is the simplest way and easiest way of doing it, and that is simply, if you go down here and you see there's the button, well, it's not really a button, it's a knob with the instrument speedometer and the light sign next to it. If you just pull down on that, it darkens everything inside the vehicle, so you can see that it turns off the, well, it doesn't turn it off, but it makes it quite dark. Every single piece of lighting is dark, including the LCD screen, which has now turned into dark mode because it was set on auto. I'll go through that shortly, what that means, but this is the simplest way of doing it, and this is as bright as you can have it inside the vehicle. So this is all the instrument clusters when it's on full lights in the dark. It's not too bad. But what it does mean though is if you do that, there's another notch on this knob down here, and what it is if you push it up, there's a clicking noise, and it again resolves everything back to very bright. Not just the LCD display, but you also got your instrument cluster here, which is quite bright. Then you've got this cluster here, which is quite bright. Now there is a bit of a difference though in the car, so if you want to get that back to auto mode, you flick the knob down and you see it's still dimming everything else in the vehicle. So there is a way of keeping everything, if you like everything else to be brighter at night and lit up. I'm just going to show you another way you can do this to get this LCD screen to be in dark mode, but also not affect the other instrument clusters, such as your speedo here and your center console lights. So I'm just going to push that back up again. Okay. And so now what we'll do is we'll darken this screen, but without everything else being darkened as well. So what you need to do is you need to go to your settings, display. Now this is the main bit here, so there are two ways you can do it from here. You can either change it from automatic to nighttime dark, and that has everything in dark mode, but it hasn't changed any of your settings on the rest of the vehicle, so they're still super bright. Well, not super bright, they're just the brightest that you can have them. So there's that way of doing it. Another way you can do it is if you don't want to have to always change the automatic settings and you want to leave them on, you can leave it in automatic. As you can see, it's super bright, but then you can simply just change the contrast and brightness. So that is not in night mode, that is not in day mode, that is just in the normal mode on automatic, and it's not as bright as it was. So to me, this is what I do personally, because I can keep the normal mode on without having to go into dark mode, and it's not super bright in the cabin, so you can still see outside. All my other instrument clusters are super bright, but they don't really affect anything. And just to show you the difference now by doing that is if I go over to this instrument cluster here and I turn that down, it changes things to dark mode, and it changes things to dark mode and puts all the instrument cluster down. But if I go like this and click it again back to the super bright mode, you can see that the LCD screen hasn't actually gone and done anything in terms of overpowering your sight inside the dark cabin. So I think that's the way to go. What I find that is, this is my manual settings, which at the moment I've got the car set to auto, but if I on the lighting settings, but what I'll show you is if I put the garage door up, the screen is still bright enough to see, and this is afternoon, the sun's actually coming directly towards me at the moment, so I can actually have that set in that fashion. But if I really did want to change it, if it was, you know, mostly just day driving, I can simply just go back to my settings in display and change the brightness back up. Actually find the contrast on that setting, you don't even need to go past halfway, and it's actually still quite bright. So yeah, it's the way I go about it. But yeah, it's just a little tip, because I have seen a lot of people are suggesting that the way to get the auto settings to work for light and dark is to get a hold of this little knob here. The only problem with that is when you do reduce that knob, then it does actually reduces these clusters here on the car, which aren't on now because the lights are off.
I didn't understand. Please try again using a louder speaking volume.
And yeah, it's one of the other weird things about this car is that this voice assistant comes on sometimes when you don't even do the right prompt.
Sorry, I'm having trouble understanding you.
Alright, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.